Permissionless, Palm Beach, Florida. And Reuven, you are a weaver of Web3. Tell me a little bit about what you're up to.
You know, it's been an interesting journey. This company, Awardpool, that I started literally as the pandemic began. Previous to starting this company, I was briefly CTO at Microsoft's Cloud and AI division in Redmond. Long enough to be there to realize I'm not really a big company kind of guy. I love building. I love creating companies. My specialty, my superpower is the ability to sort of build things that I envision. And I've got that sort of rare ability to sort of visualize and then create both from a graphical point of view and visual point of view, as well as the code. So right around March of 2020, after I left Microsoft, my kids are home from the sort of early days of the pandemic, and like, what am I going to do? I'm not going to teach them, grammar and things like that. So my wife and I said, let's teach them how to build a startup. And, looking at them, we realized that they were spending all their time looking at other people play video games on things like Twitch and YouTube and TikTok. And we said, well, that's really interesting. There's this sort of idea that you could kind of be rewarded for participating in other people's gaming and sport-related activities. What if we could create a product around that? And it kind of blew up from there.
So when you're teaching a young person how to build a startup, what are 3 lessons or 3 tips that you would give to any young person out there?
And this isn't just a tip for a young person. This is a tip for anyone that's looking to build something and be successful at building. The one thing I would say is, looking at sort of the intersection of trends. When you want to be at the right moment to capitalize. I've had this sort of chronic ability to be too early in my life. And, and looking back at it, where I went wrong was this idea of intersecting trends. So if you can see where these trends intersect and try to be slightly ahead of the curve, that allows you to then, be at the right spot when those things happen. And it's an intangible. So first and foremost, you have to look at the ability to see, where's the world going to be and kind of reverse engineer it. Then you have to test. And I think, iterating and testing is critical. So early in the process of building a company, beyond the fact that you sort of get an idea for what you want to build and you build a prototype, you need to have, this group of early adopters who validate or maybe disprove your thesis.
I remember a quick testing story, but also a bagel story. In a past life of mine, true story, I had a bagel shop in Champaign, Illinois, where I went to college, right after college. And we just had someone walk on by. As you can see here, we are literally at Permissionless. There are sounds, there are people, and maybe we'll interview her later. All right, so I had this bagel shop called How About a Bagel. And this was right after college, and I had this wholesale customer. It was more like a catering customer, actually. Every Wednesday, I would bring bagels to a company called Volition. And Volition is a AAA gaming design and development studio. Folks might know of Red Factor, and other games that they have produced. And I always remember going to drop the bagels off. It was a big order. It was like 125, 150 bagels, every Wednesday. And the environment to work, these nice comfy couches and these game consoles and controllers. Testing can be fun, but it can also be extremely tedious. So when it comes to opportunities out there, you have worked at big Fortune 500 corporations. You have built your own. When you look at the opportunities that exist today, how do you see testing as a part of the opportunity landscape? How do you see design? How do you see development? Could you just talk to folks out there who don't have as much experience as you do, and providing them a little bit of guidance as to where you might say, here's where there's more opportunity, here's where it's more difficult, because you have a wealth of knowledge, and we want to get that out of your brain and into other people's ears.
Measurement, I think, I call it lean analytics, and it's not just a matter of talking to a lot of potential customers and sort of synthesizing that into a product. It's about measuring it. So one of the things that we do very sort of specifically early in the process is define all the things that are important and maybe things we don't even know that are important by using tools like Mixpanel. And that allows us to say, how long is someone staying on the app? What are the things that they're clicking on? And what are the things that they aren't doing? Or maybe there's something's broken in terms of the process of signing up or buying or trading or doing all these various things in the app. And then we can sort of optimize those. So especially for an application like ours that is kind of, one is doing three predominant things. One, it's building community, it's engaging that community, and hopefully, if we're doing our job right, it's monetizing. People are going to ultimately buy something. So it's kind of, a funnel of sorts. So if we can refine that funnel, then we can optimize that funnel to get the outcome that's important to us, which ultimately is people buying things. And by having a very clear and concise measurement process, we can optimize that journey through that funnel from broadly I'm getting some free tokens or NFTs to I'm going to buy something from that end user. And the other benefit to that approach is now when I'm pitching an investor, which is most important for scaling your company, I have a multitude of different metrics, and most VCs these days are sort of data driven, and that's an inherent part of our process.
So as we wrap things up here, I want to hear your best Web2 story, a story that, gives you nostalgia. And then after that, a little bit about award pool as we finish up this podcast episode.
So, I can go back to Web 1.
Web 1 story. Let's do it. I'm
like what a geeky kid grows up to be. When I was 12 years old, this is 1990, and I'm really dating myself at this point. And I was lucky enough to be involved in a online gaming community called Imagination, which was part of a group called Sierra Online. They were known for their King's Quest and Police Quest, Star Quest games. The thing failed. It was too early, there wasn't even internet yet. But what was interesting, that project, everyone involved in that project were then referred to another project out of Virginia, which became known as AOL. And they were about to launch a new project, specifically for this new graphical interface for Windows 3.1. 12-year-old me, and I was shipped a modem and I think it was a floppy disk at the time for AOL V1 on Windows, and that sort of was the launching pad of my sort of world of web. So a few years later, when the actual World Wide Web became a thing, I was ready to go. And that's I don't think a lot of people can go back that far, and it probably ages me dramatically.
Proper OG status there. Even Steve Case couldn't even hold a candle to what you're talking about here. So award pool in 30 seconds or less, elevator pitch. Let's hear what award pool is all about, and we'll take it out.
Oh, I appreciate you giving me the chance to give you a little your audience a little overview of what we're doing. We're awardpool.com. Essentially, we call it a widget. It allows you to sort of quickly add utility where no utility exists. It essentially allows you to encourage and reward your users through the use of Web3 technologies, tokens, NFTs, like retweet, play various types of video games, and you can accrue points. Those points can be redeemed for various types of cryptocurrencies and NFTs. So the idea is to build an engaged community and then monetize that community. So ultimately, you can sell, you can trade, you can do all these things in a sort of Web3 context with a simple line of code you pop into your website or mobile application. A lot of our projects are early in the sense that they're building those communities. And so we're celebrating right now about roughly 50 launches at this point. We've got about 200,000 active end users. Our revenue is very strong. We launched publicly late last year. We're pretty excited. We just got accepted in the Collision Conference as one of the biggest.
In Toronto, yeah?
In Toronto, yeah.
Nice.
We're in the growth track, which means we're the top echelon, I guess. We beat out 3,000 companies. So we're pretty excited. Things are moving really quickly. Check out awardpool.com.
Awesome. And a shout out to a PodTechs production that we do each and every month up in Toronto, which is for the Center for Aging and Brain Health Innovation. And we'll talk about that at another time. Thanks so much, Reuven.
Appreciate it.